Hi, I'm Jamie, a producer here at J-Lynn Entertainment.
Hi, I'm Tamar, a producer here at J-Lynn Entertainment.
Hi, I'm Mark, social media manager at J-Lynn Entertainment.
If you love comics and you love video games, then we have something for you. Introducing our patent-pending video game comics, a digital comic designed to be read and played on your internet browser, mobile phone, tablet, Xbox Live, or PlayStation Network, where you not only get to read the comic, but within the comic you play a video game or a combination of video games, quizzes, and interactions at a particular point based on the story. Your own performance or decisions in the video game will alter the story of the comic and can ultimately change the entire series of the comic. The video game consists of various game mechanics, such as fighting, shooting, puzzles, racing, timing, flying, and other mechanics best suited for the comic's storyline. This adds value and rereadability to your comic. No more reading a comic once and putting it away for years before looking at it again. There is instant rereadability and replayability with video game comics, having 1, 2, 3, or more possible outcomes or scenarios per issue. Imagine reading your favorite comic book or comic book miniseries and really being a part of the story, playing as your favorite comic book hero, getting into the action, and altering the story by your own actions or decisions. You get alternate outcomes, expanding the story and the character's universe. The story, it's really in your hands. But before we start making video game comics of our favorite comic book heroes, we want to create the back-end infrastructure and an original IP called The Adventures of Shadowcat. This will establish the value of video game comics and develop the foundation of our back-end infrastructure, which will make it easier to develop quality video game comics of our favorite comic book heroes and comic book series. That is, after we have negotiated with comic book publishers to create video game comics for them. Hopefully, if we receive an overwhelming response in funding, we can have the resources to develop video game comics for Marvel and DC Comics while simultaneously developing the adventures of Shadowcat. We also have a really cool approach to achievement points that applies to our video game comics that makes the points really worthwhile to our users. The achievement points, trophies, and badges that platforms use and games use, well, what are they for? Pretty much bragging rights, right? Well, how about using them for something cool and make good use of those points that players work so long and hard for? Our achievement system, which we refer to as Shadow Points, is where registered users gain points for reading and playing video game comics. Then, similar to trading in tickets for prizes, like you can do at Chuck E. Cheese, carnivals, and other indoor amusement centers, you can take your Shadow Points and cash them in for discounts on other video game comics, video game books, shirts, and other Shadowcat merchandise at our online Shadowcat store. Even though you cash in your Shadow Points, your lifetime points achieved will always be displayed with your current Shadow Points balance. So you still have your bragging rights. We feel players should be rewarded for investing their time in reading and playing video game comics, and what a great way to reward them for the more they play.
Our first IP, The Adventures of Shadowcat, is about a household cat turned vigilante superhero who uses the technology of a shadow suit, plasma blaster, wit, and luck to stop bad guys such as the Strange Man, the Vicious Cat Gang, the Evil Shadowcat, and many other bad guys that he encounters along the way. Shadowcat is actually a spin-off based on Max-a-Cat, a series with slapstick humor and educational activities geared towards kids ages 4 to 9. A series we hope to develop down the road if Shadowcat is successful. Here's a brief synopsis of how the Shadowcat saga begins. Max and his friend Mike, a genetically engineered snake turned into a genius, go on a camping trip with their owner to a national park. Max and Mike wander away from their campsite and get lost in the forest, leading them to accidentally discover a hidden and abandoned secret government lab bunker, which Mike believes to be from the Cold War era. Mike decides to stay behind to live in the lab, and being the super intelligent genius that he is, gets the lab partially up and running. He discovers a plasma weapon stored in the lab, which has a renewable energy source by pulling energy from the surrounding atmosphere to charge itself. Mike brings Max back to the lab to show him this plasma weapon. They realize they can use it to fight off the Vicious Cat Gang, which has been vandalizing their neighborhood and terrorizing the domestic and stray animals in the area. The cat gang has been giving pets and animals a bad reputation, causing the city's animal warden to grab every cat and dog off the street not accompanied by their owner. Shortly after, Mike creates a suit for Max with some material that he finds in a lab which utilizes shadows for camouflage, thus being called the Shadow Cat. Early in the series, Shadow Cat's plasma blaster and shadow suit malfunction frequently, and Shadow Cat has to figure his way out of binds with the assistance of Mike over radio. This adds an interesting twist in the story and opens up unique and fun game mechanics so standard plasma attacks and combat don't get too repetitive. As time goes by, they improve on his equipment and they come across bigger and badder bad guys.
At launch, we plan on delivering Shadowcat video game comics and other video game comics through a cool animated website, mobile phone, and tablet apps. We will tie the user's account together to the main website so users can enjoy their video game comics on their PC, laptop, smartphone, or tablet, anywhere, anytime. Here is where we need your help. We need your Kickstarter funding to hire back-end engineers to make this a fully functional site with maximum security. We need to hire a few game programmers, artists, and animators to produce a minimum of 2 video game comics per month. We need to pay for hardware and software for contractors and full-time employees. We would like to translate video game comics into Spanish, Portuguese, Chinese, Japanese, and German for readers around the world. We also need to cover legal consultation and fees, and if the funding allows, we'll spend the remaining on advertising. We're not just making video game comics, we're also making a gaming platform with our ShadowPoint system. We want to become a mid-sized studio to bring the gamers and comic book fans a more diverse product offering. Now, onto what you will receive for helping us make our idea a reality. We've tried to make the rewards useful for various types of donors. We have many Kickstarter rewards to choose from. Some of our favorite Kickstarter rewards range from getting a single video game comic to getting an annual subscription with a t-shirt or poster, to a lifetime subscription, or even getting advertising space within one of our video game comics. There are many rewards you can receive for donating. Please refer to our rewards list on the right side of our Kickstarter page for more details. Here's a look at the t-shirt designs. The final shirts that you will receive may be slightly different in color and saturation.
J-Lynn Entertainment has long-term plans in regards to the Shadowcat series and for video game comics in general. Shortly after we launch the website, The Adventures of Shadowcat series, we'll launch the Shadowcat and the Shadow Force series, introducing new characters, which takes place further along in the Shadowcat's story. Then down the road, we'll release a 3rd series where Shadowcat discovers the origins of the secret lab bunker, the plasma blaster, and shadow suit material that they've discovered. They find out in this series that the lab was inhabited originally by alien bounty hunters that had a small co-op government operation in the 1930s and 40s. They used the plasma blaster as their weapons. If the online store does well after the first year and a half, and users are purchasing products and utilizing their shadow points to get discounted and free stuff, then we'll introduce new products like action figures and plush dolls. After seeing which storylines and games from what video game comics people like the best, we'll have the core components to make a full-fledged mobile game and downloadable game. We'll take the best core game mechanics and storylines that fans love to read and play, then refine them to make a great mobile game with a solid story that the Shadowcat fans will love. Around this time, we would like to have launched a second team that produces video game comics for the major comic book publishers. By this time, we'll have the capabilities to bring a fantastic experience of video game comics to their franchises as well.
So why develop in Cleveland? Well, there's the Ohio Motion Picture Tax Credit that video game companies are eligible for, which has brought film production to Cleveland, such as The Avengers, Fun Size, Alex Cross, and many other films. There's the low cost of living that Ohio has to offer. The state has many diverse areas and attractions to fit many lifestyles. But some people in the game industry might say there's a lack of talent in Ohio, or that you can't find talent at all around here. But let us tell you a little story about an Akron startup named Blue Frog Gaming. They produce mobile and Facebook games founded by Akron University graduates who've employed grads from various colleges and universities in Ohio and nearby states, so it's not hard to find talent. Other developers should take notice. Big developers and publishers like Microsoft Game Studios, Electronic Arts, Sony Computer Entertainment, and Activision, with their bigger budgets, they can easily take advantage of this tax credit and utilize the talent in this area.
So if you like the idea of video game comics and being a part of the story by having your favorite comic book heroes' universes in your hands, if you like the idea of putting your achievement points to real use, cashing them in to get cool things like merchandise and video game comics in return for your hours put into gaming, if you want to see Shadowcat and the Shadow Force in action-packed adventures, please pledge to support us to bring a fresh new experience to comics and video games. Remember that Kickstarter is an all-or-nothing fundraiser, so we must reach our fundraising goal. If we don't, we won't receive any funding at all, and we won't be able to bring video game comics to the world. J-Lynn Entertainment would like to thank you for watching.
Follow Video Game Comic News on Twitter. You can also follow us on Facebook and Google+.